Hello, 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 hello. Yep. Mhm. Perfect. So, hi guys, we are live. So, this is the second session of today's product day that we made it up. But excited, and I hope you guys had enjoyed the morning session. So, this is an extension to the morning session. Now we are going to go much in depth about building great products. And to be able to do that, I've gotten an amazing speaker, a good mentor also, and an amazing friend, Shravan. So Shravan is the principal PM at BYJU. So as you know, BYJU is a very aggressively product-led company, and they've been building great tech products in the past. And then Shravan also has his own community called Product Tree. And if you guys are interested into product management, you should follow Product Tree. And at least definitely follow Shravan on LinkedIn for his interesting product management insights in a very funny and I would say insightful way that it describes day-to-day lives of a PM. So if you want to understand what PM is, how the life of an APM is, definitely follow Shravan, and you would have a lot of laughter, seeing his post. It's pretty insightful and pretty funny also. So Shravan, welcome to the session. I have given a very informal way of introducing yourself. Why don't you give a formal background? Where do you come from? What do you do? And what are you currently up to?
Sure. So first of all, Nikhil, it's an honor to be a part of such a big conference, and I have been very, very enthralled and honored from my side to speak across all the students who want to move into product management. I would keep it very informal. I don't want necessarily a jargon wala session nahi hona chahiye. So I want it to be a very valued session for all of you. So kahin na kahin, I will start off with my journey. My journey has been such कि यार it was a journey of serendipity. So I am a Kashmiri Pandit coming from Jammu, was a very curious chap from since the very beginning और हमेशा से यही अच्छा लगता था कि यार कि कुछ कुछ नया करूं, learn things new. In 8th class, I was reading Egyptian mythology, reading religion, reading mathematics, reading music, and all of those things together. Finally, क्या हुआ? घर वालों ने after the 12th class, as everybody is pushed towards IIT, they also pushed me towards IIT. I joined IIT Roorkee. And in 2012, what really happened was that me with a few of my friends, we wanted to solve a problem, right? And उस time पे क्या हुआ कि we used to come from Roorkee to Delhi to just kind of loiter around, and a lot of people used to kind of catch us, and cops used to catch us, and we used to get a lot of challans and all of those things. And after that, what we realized, yaar, is problem ko to solve karna hai. How do I solve this problem? That specifically that cops don't catch up, because kahin na kahin kya hota tha ki whenever we used to get a challan, ghar se we used to get like 3,000-4,000 bucks a month, and most of the money used to go there. So with two of my friends, we started building this app called Waze for Cops. What was that? Basically, you can pinpoint a location of a cop in real time basis, and it would showcase कि वो cop कहाँ पे है. ठीक है? So we built this kind of a structure with two of my computer science friends, and we published that app on Play Store. I'm talking about 2012. Yeah, guys, I am that old. Yes. So kahin na kahin aisa tha ki we initially thought that this problem would be there only for college students and 300-400 people would download. But 3-4 mahine mein this app gone downloaded by 3 lakh people all across the world. And we were like, ye kaun kar raha hai download yaar? Who is this? Who is downloading this? So I sent an email to Google, and Google told me that this app is getting downloaded by Arizona in the US, right? तो उसके 2 महीने बाद क्या होता है? अचानक से there is this large enterprise company who reaches out to us, says we want to buy your app, and finally we sold that app for some money. And that was the मतलब वो यूरेका मोमेंट था कि यार if you can solve problems and make money out of it, this is something that is very interesting to me. तो यार मुझे ये करना है करियर में. Whatever engineering I'm doing वो नहीं करना, but I want to do this one thing that solve people's problems and effectively derive tangible output out of it. So finally क्या हुआ कि 4th year में somebody gave me this book called Inspired, right? And it was a very nice book about product management. And then I realized, I started reading about it, and I figured out that this is something similar to what I'm doing, right? And that is something that was very, 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 very interesting to me, right? Ki I'm looking at this particular book, and I felt that ye ek cheez hai, this is very similar, so I want to do this. Finally, what happened? I joined Flipkart. After I joined Flipkart, I worked there for a year, realized that they're building features at scale. They're doing multiple other things, right? Like they're trying to do I wanted to figure out that how do they build features, how do they do recommendations and all of those things. तो एक साल वहां पे काम किया and slowly ventured into product management at slightly in a detailed manner. Then moved to another company which is specifically called Blackbuck. Blackbuck was an Uber for trucks. So in every role that I went in, it was more like a revelation for me. मेरे लिए revelation थी यार कि you are actually putting yourself in the shoes of the consumer and figuring out here what he wants in terms of value, right? And that was something enormously interesting to me, right? So I went to Blackbuck, spent time with truck drivers there, build a pricing model for them, was a PM lead there. Then post that I went to another company which is magicbricks.com, which is in real estate. So I spent some time thinking as an owner, how do people sell houses, how do effectively people have the thought process of selling houses. And in the last 3 years I've been part of the education ecosystem because it was very close to my heart. Coming from a Kashmiri Pandit background, not a lot of people would be effectively knowing that it is very difficult for a community which was kind of torn ridden to move into IIT. So मैं last 3 साल से education में काम कर रहा हूँ. For 2 years I was working with Edureka, where I was helping them building models for selling out courses in data science, AI, etc. and other things. And finally last 1 साल मैं BYJU में काम कर रहा हूँ, जहाँ पे I am building products for education for kids, a live synchronous platform. And simultaneously it has been an enthralling journey to effectively build basically products for kids, because जिस तरह हम ये लेके चलते हैं ना कि यार कि Zoom हम use कर रहे हैं, like all of you guys are effectively on YouTube. Not everyone understands the same thing, right? Kids are not like that. They effectively don't understand how to use YouTube, how to use Zoom. So they have a very different consumer psychology about using a particular thing. So as a product manager, you have to delve into that aspect and figure out ki what your user wants. So it has been a very enthralling journey, and currently I do that. तो यार मोटा मोटा ये कहानी है कि 6 साल प्रोडक्ट में काम किया है और काफी सारे यूजर फिलॉसफी के बारे में समझा है यूजर कैसे काम करता है. बट कमिंग बैक टू दिस कि यार अब कहां से शुरू करना है, एंड आई एम जस्ट गिविंग इट बैक टू निखिल फॉर सम टाइम सो दैट ही कंटिन्यूज अक्रॉस. या
Absolutely. And that is very interesting journey. Like, okay, Edureka, and I know the founder also, a very good friend of mine. Kafi interesting product raha unka. So, let's get back to basics, Shravan. PM hai kya? What is product management? And PM doesn't mean here Prime Minister for everyone else. It is product management. A lot of people texted me, hey, how can you guide us to become a Prime Minister? I said, no, it is product management. So let me break it down there. So, what is product management for you, and what people would perceive it in a way? Because a lot of people have a lot of misconceptions also about being a PM.
Sure. There, what I fundamentally understand is that a product manager is someone. तो देखो ऐसे ऐसे सोचो, what is a product? First, product means any product की हिंदी description होता है वस्तु. So anything that effectively translates into building a service or something which gives value, like water. Water as a product is that if you drink water, it quenches your thirst, right? Similarly, stone as a product is something that effectively, if you translate into it, it helps you build buildings, right? तो कोई भी ऐसी चीज जो इफेक्टिवली एक यूजर को वैल्यू दे सकती है, वो एक प्रोडक्ट होता है. अब ये छोटी सी छोटी चीज हो सकती है. इट कैन बी मिल्क और इट कैन बी समथिंग एल्स, राइट? सो बट अब एक एक प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर क्या होता है? फर्स्ट ऑफ ऑल, द फर्स्ट एस्पेक्ट ऑफ दैट इज दैट ही इज अ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर. ठीक है. अब एक टिपिकल प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर और एक प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर में अंतर क्या होता है, राइट? यू कैन आस्क दिस वेरी फंडामेंटल क्वेश्चन कि अगर एक प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर एक प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर होता है, तो फिर ये दोनों शब्द क्यों अलग है? व्हाई आर दीज टू थिंग्स different? Why don't we call a PM a problem solver, right? The difference here is that a product manager is a problem solver at scale. That is the difference. दो शब्द मैं और ऐड करूंगा, a problem solver at scale. Let me give you another fundamental example of this. Think of it like this, that what is Uber or Ola? Fundamentally it's an Excel sheet, right? एक तरफ गाड़ियां हैं और एक तरफ और एक तरफ लोग हैं, एंड यू आर ट्राइंग टू मैच दैट डिमांड गैप को मैच कर रहे हो, एंड यू इफेक्टिवली टेल समवन दैट इफ यू वांट टू बुक अ कैब, यू कैन गेट अ कैब. सो फाइनली it is just an Excel sheet which is kind of working from which is basically on an Excel sheet. But this can work for 500 users, 5,000 users, maximum to maximum 10,000 users, right? अब क्या है, अगर if I tell you that you have to solve this problem for 10 million users, right, then this becomes a very hard problem to solve, right? And that is where a PM comes in. A PM is someone who effectively takes a very simple problem, tries to translate that value at scale, and tries to keep the vertical depth of that value very very seamless to the user. कहने का मतलब है कि यार अगर Uber आज की डेट में 50 मिलियन लोगों के लिए काम कर रही है, लेकिन आपके लिए तो ऐसे ही काम करनी चाहिए ना कि आप 2 मिनट में कैब बुक कर लो. If you are not able to effectively book a cab in 2 minutes, then it's of no fundamental value, right? Even if they're working at 50 million, 100 million. So the philosophy of product management is that you are a very good problem solver, first principle thinker, but at scale. Now उसके ऊपर फिर बहुत सारी चीजें होती है जो आपने सुन रखी होंगी कि product manager is an intersection of business, tech and design. A product manager does stakeholder management. A product manager does growth for the company by improving its metrics. They are all above this layer. सबसे नीचे है कि क्या आप एक प्रॉब्लम को स्केलेबल तरीके से सॉल्व कर सकते हो. दैट इज व्हाट अ प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर फंडामेंटल इज. या निखिल, आई गेस you're on mute. या
So yeah, अभी अगर हम बात करें कि चलो प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट तो समझ गए, बट व्हाट इज द लाइफ ऑफ अ प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर? ओके,
श्योर
व्हाट इज देयर डे टू डे एक्टिविटीज, एंड एपीएम टू पीएम में क्या डिफरेंसेस आते हैं?
श्योर श्योर. तो यार सबसे पहले ना पीएम का सबसे बड़ा फंडा सबसे बहुत क्लियर होता है. एक प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर has to effectively tie the entire user journey of effectively taking from ideation to taking it in the hands of the user and effectively giving them value. So in a day-to-day life, what typically happens is a product manager has to start working on, like, if when he thinks of a new particular feature or new particular product or something that he wants to build upon, he first effectively tries to do some sort of ideation around it. Ki user research karega, work with the user research team, right? User research karega, he will work with a fundamental tries to understand what's the need, what are the pain points of the user, working with the UX team. Once he has identified the pain point, then he will try to do a typical POC, right? Ki proof of concept. Ki can I figure this out, that basically कि this particular pain points are the right pain points or not. So he will work with the design team, working on some certain fundamental designs that, okay, this is how I can test out that whether this is of value or not. Once he's tested that out, then he will work with the tech team कि हाँ यार अब मेरे पास feedback है, अब मेरे पास सारी चीजें हैं, अब मेरे पास एक kind of proof है कि नहीं this makes sense. Then he will tell the tech team that this is what we want to build. Then the tech team will come back in terms of estimates saying that, okay, I can build these 5 things, but only in 20 days, right? So that PM effectively has to also design that how he wants to take it to the market. So if he wants to take it to the market in 10 days, he will prioritize those features in terms of value. कि यार कि ठीक है ये 5 चीजें बनानी है, इसमें से पहले 3 बना लेते हैं because these are the most valuable to the user. So he always puts himself to the user, right? फिर tech team के साथ वो prioritization होगा. After that prioritization, what will happen is fundamentally after the product is released, he will effectively do the testing of the product. कि यार ये product bug free है कि नहीं है? Is it working fine? Because he is the first person who has to use the product, and finally he will roll it down to the user and take feedback from them, basically by incorporating a feedback forms. तो ये पूरा एक loop होता है, और यही loop हमारा daily day भी होता है. You start with your day looking at your core metrics कि आपने जो products बनाए हैं क्या वो अच्छे से काम कर रहे हैं कि नहीं कर रहे हैं. Then you will go into a stand up. Typically will I try to understand कि हाँ यार क्या मेरी टेक टीम मेरे अगले फीचर्स पे ऑन टाइम काम कर रही है कि नहीं कर रही है. Then meet with business, try to understand what are the new requirements that are coming which are of very good value. Then effectively brainstorm on those requirements to understand कि अच्छा ये requirement sense भी बना रही है कि नहीं sense बना रही है. Then sit with the design team to effectively create some sort of a structure which can be given to the users so that they can give you feedback. और इसी तरह पूरा आपका दिन निकलता है. अब the second question that Nikhil asked was कि यार कि टिपिकली जो प्रोडक्ट रोल्स होते हैं एपीएम, पीएम, सीनियर पीएम, प्रिंसिपल पीएम या डायरेक्टर ऑफ प्रोडक्ट या वीपी, इनमें डिफरेंस क्या होता है? देखो, एज यू मूव हायर इनटू द प्रोडक्ट लैडर, ambiguity of building things increases. What I mean by that is APM शुरू में आता है. APM का typically काम ये होता है कि to give insights to the product manager so that he can build the next product better. What do you mean by insights? He will look at dashboards, seeing that कि okay यार, if my data is in conjunction to what I thought it will be. Like if I tell you that I've created a new home page or a landing page, and my total basis was, like my hypothesis was, that I will be able to convert 20% of my users as signups. Is it actually happening or not? If it's not happening, he will give an insight for that. If it's happening, then he'll give you an insight for that. Then the PM effectively will think of a structure ki how do I effectively improve, what do I improve in the page to improve the signups if it's not happening. अब यही चीज अगर आप सीनियर पीएम पे चले जाओ तो वो खाली साइन अप नहीं सोचेगा, वो ये सोचेगा कि अच्छा यार साइन अप तो हो गया, अब ये यूजर को अगर अपने प्रोडक्ट सर्च करने हैं, जैसे फॉरेन एडमिट्स की वेबसाइट पे जाके मुझे ये सर्च करना कि मुझे कौन सा कोर्स ढूंढना है, तो वो ये भी देखेगा कि साइन अप के बाद यूजर उस कोर्स को ढूंढ पा रहा है कि नहीं ढूंढ पा रहा है. प्रॉबेबली एक ग्रुप पीएम का काम या एक प्रिंसिपल पीएम का काम ये होगा कि यार अच्छा कोर्स तो ले लिया, उसको वैल्यू मिल रही है कि नहीं मिल रही है. तो एक पूरा जितना तुम ऊपर जाते हो उतना तुम्हारे पास एक हॉरिजॉन्टल बकेट ऑफ प्रोडक्ट्स आ जाते हैं कि यार मेरे यूज केसेस सिर्फ एक नहीं है, एक पूरी जर्नी को मैं कवर करने की कोशिश कर रहा हूं. तो एपीएम थोड़ा एग्जीक्यूशन लेवल पे होता है, जहां पे उसको बताना होता है कि बेसिकली आई कैन dig out some data and effectively try to understand my consumer and give some insights to build. And as you scale down, your role effectively moves from execution to kind of product strategy. Like a PM will decide what feature to build, probably a principal PM will decide what product to build instead of, or probably a VP of product will decide what direction to take, which industry to move in. So the scale of ambiguity changes, and APM की लाइफ में यही होता है यार. It's a very funny life. You are always executing, but it gives you one of the important aspects of product management, that is stakeholder management. Stakeholder management बहुत important होती है because a PM has to be fundamentally accessible. So this is something that a APM does. And finally moving to a PM and simultaneously other roles. Yeah.
Interesting. No, I think this solves a lot of, I would say, confusion कि यार APM करता क्या है, PM क्या करता. So let's understand a little bit into the basics of building, becoming an APM or a PM. So what are the skills and tools one would require, and what
Yeah.
could be the starting learning resources for someone
Sure.
who is trying to get into this kind of a job?
Sure. So I think I started this effectively this kind of a live session primarily by telling कि एक PM जो होता है वो एक problem solver होता है. He is a problem solver, right? Now, effectively when you're in college, a lot of companies are coming in BTech colleges now to effectively become hire PMs, APMs, etc. But fundamentally, how do you approach this role, and what are the skill sets that you effectively need to have? So for having a problem solving mindset, the first thing that you need is something called art of critical thinking. Ki, am I thinking clearly? Am I looking at something fundamentally in a very first principle manner, right? उसका क्या मतलब होता है कि let's assume you are in a city, right? And you see that there is a problem there, that in your 5 kilometers vicinity people are buying sweets but there is no sweet shop, right? So what you can effectively do is you identified that demand and you opened a sweet shop and it will be successful, right? So the first thing that you need to look for is that can you look at a problem which is affecting a lot of users, right? Once you look at a problem which is affecting a lot of users, then you look at it from a hypothesis perspective. Ki, okay, if this is a problem, if I solve it, will it add value to people's life, right? Once it adds value to people's life, try to do a POC around it. Like एक problem जो आप कॉलेज में देखते हो, जो मेरे को पता है, मेरे साथ भी होती थी कि यार मेरा एग्जाम आने वाला है, मेरे पास नोट्स नहीं, ठीक है. अब यही प्रॉब्लम बहुत बड़ी है. यू गो टू योर सीनियर्स, यू गो टू अ लॉट ऑफ पीपल कि सर मेरे को नोट्स दे दो, पुराने साल के क्वेश्चन दे दो, ये दे दो, फलाना दे दो. तो ये होता है, राइट? व्हाट इफ यू ट्राई टू सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम? तुमने क्या किया? तुमने एक व्हाट्सएप ग्रुप बना दिया, पुराने नोट सारे कोलेट कर दिए और एक लिंक बना दिया और शेयर कर दिया सबके साथ. Now, if that link is getting organically shared in lot of groups, that means there is a demand for this product. कि लोगों को एक ऐसी जगह चाहिए जहां पे उनको सारे नोट्स टुगेदर मिले. तो तुमने क्रिटिकल थिंकिंग से प्रॉब्लम को आइडेंटिफाई किया और उसको एक प्रूफ ऑफ कॉन्सेप्ट से सॉल्व करने की कोशिश की. सेकेंड स्टेप क्या होता है कि क्या तुम्हारे अंदर एक आर्ट ऑफ प्रायोरिटाइजेशन है. आर्ट ऑफ प्रायोरिटाइजेशन का मतलब होता है जब तुमने एक प्रॉब्लम बनाई, उसके बाद प्रॉब्लम आइडेंटिफाई की, तुमने कुछ उसके पेन पॉइंट्स को आइडेंटिफाई किया. पेन पॉइंट्स को आइडेंटिफाई करने के बाद तुमने उन पेन पॉइंट्स को रैंक किया कि ओके, if I want to create a note taking website, the first thing, that note should be easily downloaded. Second thing should be that there should be a highlighter there, right? Maybe not everyone wants to highlight, they want to just print out those notes and use it, right? So prioritize those stuff, prioritize that problem in terms of the core value, right? That is the second part. And the third part is typically art of feedback. Once you take that product in hand of the students, tell them ki acha tum download kar pa rahe ho, acha then are you able to use those notes effectively, right? And take that feedback and try to close this loop again. Take this feedback, come back again to art of critical thinking, improve your product, prioritize it, take feedback, keep doing it, keep doing it, keep doing it to a point जहां पे तुम्हारे 100 में से 70 यूजर्स बोले कि हाँ यार तुम्हारा प्रोडक्ट बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा है, बहुत ज्यादा अच्छा है. और इस पर्टिकुलर स्टेट को हम बोलते हैं प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट. प्रोडक्ट मार्केट फिट. Product market fit का मतलब होता है when 70% of your users say that your product is great and I would effectively want to use it continuously. अब ये हो गया थोड़ा फिलोसॉफिकल लेवल पे. अब बच्चे इसको कैसे कर सकते हैं? अगर तुम्हें पीएम बनना है तो क्या करो, कोई भी प्रॉब्लम जो तुम्हारे आसपास है उसको उठाओ, राइट? उस पर्टिकुलर प्रॉब्लम को पकड़ो, उस प्रॉब्लम को समझने की कोशिश करो और उसके लिए एक डॉक्यूमेंट लिखो कि हाउ आई वांट टू सॉल्व दिस प्रॉब्लम. Once this problem is effectively solved, then what you do is, problem का structure क्या होना चाहिए? You have identified the problem, you have identified the hypothesis that you want to solve for, then what are the pain points? After those pain points, what are the solutions that you recommend? And after the solutions, then you effectively look at what are the metrics that you're looking at. अब एक एक करके इसमें delve करते हैं. पहला हो गया, जैसे अगर मान लो तुम्हें एक नोट टेकिंग वेबसाइट ही बनानी है. व्हाट इज द प्रॉब्लम दैट यू आर सॉल्विंग? द प्रॉब्लम इज दैट पीपल डोंट फाइंड गुड क्वालिटी नोट्स इन कॉलेजेस which they can effectively use in times of exam. What is your, the next step is a hypothesis. What is the hypothesis? The hypothesis is fundamentally that effectively can I build a particular website which can give notes at scale very easily, right? That's the second hypothesis. The third point will be the core pain points. The core pain points can be, okay, are my notes easily downloadable? Will my notes be segregated by different engineering grades? That's the second. Third point would be, can I use is there a highlighter on my page? Because a lot of people want to use highlighters. That fourth point can be, can I use it in a mobile phone very easily? Is the website mobile optimized? So these are the pain points, और इनको तुम फिर prioritize करो. Prioritize करने के बाद solution बनाओ. The first solution should be that there should be a download button so that notes are easily downloadable. The second solution can be, can I use simply a highlighter plugin which can be put there and you can highlight those notes. And similarly you put those problems. Finally तुम्हारे आगे metrics होता है किसी भी product को measure करने का तरीका. So the first metric that you want to see is, are people downloading your notes? So you can effectively look at number of people who came on your website as a denominator, and as a numerator, number of people who downloaded. Like if 10 people came and 7 people are downloading your notes, that means 70% of the users are finding value, right? And that is the state of a product market fit. तो ये तुम्हारे डॉक्यूमेंट में आना चाहिए. अब इसी डॉक्यूमेंट को तुम अपने रेज्यूमे के साथ इफेक्टिवली भेज दो उस पर्टिकुलर इंटरव्यूअर को. अब इंटरव्यूअर को क्या पता चलेगा? इंटरव्यूअर को दो चीजें पता चलेगी, क्योंकि आज की डेट में क्या होता है कि ऑल ऑफ यू स्टूडेंट्स जस्ट पुट अक्रॉस रेज्यूमेस. नाउ फॉर अ पर्टिकुलर एप्लीकेशन देयर आर 400 resumes. How many resumes can he see? But if you send across an assignment with your resume, the interviewer will notice that यार ये जो लड़का है, which is basically maybe तुषार, maybe someone, इसने तो यार बिना बोले एक प्रॉब्लम भी सॉल्व कर दी हमारे लिए, तो ये पैशनेट है. सेकंड चीज, resume is only highlights of your life. I don't know how people think by a resume, but if you send an assignment, people will also understand how Tushar thinks, or how Nikhil thinks, or how Shravan thinks, right? And finally what will happen is, he will understand that are you a good problem solver or not. And if he understands that, there's a very good chance you will get a call. So try to build a product portfolio. What I mean by that is, solve different problems, create assignments of that, send it across with your resume. Not a lot of people do this. Once you do this, you will start getting more and more calls, because people want great thinkers. They don't effectively want people who just sending out resumes and stuff like that. तो एक प्रोडक्ट पोर्टफोलियो बनाने की कोशिश करो. प्रोडक्ट पोर्टफोलियो तुम्हें एक अच्छा थिंकर भी बनाएगा, because a PM is a better thinker. So once you start doing this, you will start getting calls. once you start getting calls, then because you've made an assignment also, you also have an understanding of the company. Now you will be able to solve for the company in better way. Like, because पहले क्या होता, तुम सिर्फ resume भेज देते हो, तुम्हें पता भी नहीं है कि स्विगी काम कैसे करती है. Now you have created a particular assignment for them. Now you understand what's their business model, what are they building, how are they building, and finally you will be able to go into an interview well prepared. You will be able to go into the interview well prepared, and you will be able to crack that interview. So my suggestion would be, instead of going into doing degrees like MBAs and stuff like that, which is not needed for product management. Product management के लिए कोई डिग्री, कोई सर्टिफिकेशन नहीं चाहिए, किसी भी बैकग्राउंड का बंदा प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट में आ सकता है. बट तुम्हें एक इंटरव्यूअर को दिखाना है कि तुम अच्छा सोचते हो. उसका बेस्ट तरीका होता है अपना पोर्टफोलियो बनाने की कोशिश करो. पोर्टफोलियो बनाने के लिए कोई भी प्रॉब्लम जो तुम्हें अच्छी लगती है, पिक इट अप, solve it, and send it to the relevant industry. That's it. As simple as that, and you will start getting calls. And that is a very, very simple way. Not a lot of people make product portfolios, but you should start doing that. Yeah.
Absolutely, I think आपने तो literally, like, you've spoken from, the words which I always try to find in our product interns and all. And Shravan, I like to share one of the small anecdote. I remember one student, he was the working professional. He applied for an internship at Foreign Adverts in product management. He could not do the task. He said, "Let me give you something which you would like it." And he built a very small assignment, on product management itself, which we loved it. We immediately rolled out an internship. Within 1 month of internship, he got a job in a US company by displaying what he actually did in 1 month of internship. So product
Correct.
management is definitely not about all the theories that you learn. You have to execute a lot of things, and that's something is a great live example that I could share. But yes, now coming to some of the basic fundamental theories, I understand it is a lot of things when you're doing, but a lot of background understanding would also be needed. How are you going to interpret certain things? So, what are the basic, again, disclaimer, this is not what we are promoting here, but we are sharing resources that what we read or what we learned, right? So, Shravan, any insights to certain resources, what people can, follow or learn?
Definitely, definitely. So here, देखो, fundamentally, as I told you, that product managers are better thinkers, right? Right. So in order to effectively be a better thinker, you don't have to follow frameworks or anything, but try to effectively improve your mental models. How you improve your mental models basically means the way you understand different ways of the world, right? So fundamentally, in order to improve as a mental model thinker, you should start reading books in curiosity. One of the great books that I tell people effectively to start becoming a better thinker in life is this book called Ben Horowitz, called The Hard Thing About Hard Things. It tells you about undeterministic problems in life, problems which are very, very non-standard, and how do you effectively try to improve in those problems, solve those things. That is one way. But as an initial PM, in order to build that first principle thinking, there's a very nice book called Decode and Conquer. Decode and Conquer is a very nice book. It's written by Louis C. Lynn. You can start off with that. Then there is another book called Cracking the PM Interview. That's also a very, very nice book that effectively you can follow as an entry level structure to product management. I'm not saying it will make you a better thinker, but it will give you a direction. Basically, this is the direction that you should follow. But some of the core books that have influenced me as a thinker in my life is The Hard Thing About Hard Things that I just mentioned. There is another book called Range, How Generalists Ruled the Specialized World. Range is also another very nice book that I recommend. And there is another third book called Leaders Start With Why. It's written by Simon Sinek. This book will effectively help you bring better understanding of the world as a curious person trying to understand what are the fundamental problems, identify fundamental problems in the world, and try to give solutions around that. Now, there are two other podcasts also which I will recommend to you. One podcast is something called Masters of Scale. That is also a great podcast that you should look at. That will also give you a very good insight into building great consumer products. Masters of Scale, it's done by Reid Hoffman, who was the founder of LinkedIn. That's one. And there is another very great podcast called The Billionaire Mindset, that how do you effectively look at problems at scale, right? These two podcasts are amazing podcasts for you to follow. So you should definitely follow those. So these, ये जो पॉडकास्ट है ना, ये तुम्हें ये फ्रेमवर्क नहीं सिखाएंगे कि यार मैथ्स की तरह ये प्रॉब्लम, ये तुम्हें ये बताएंगे कि सोचना कैसा होता है. हाउ डू यू थिंक अबाउट अ प्रॉब्लम. लाइक अगर तुम्हें ये सोचना है कि कल को मुझे एक, आई नीड टू स्टार्ट अ स्टार्टअप, which effectively gives milk at scale, probably sells milk at scale. How do I scale it to 50 million users? उसके लिए तुझे क्या क्या सोचना चाहिए, उसके लिए हमें क्या क्या दिमाग में रखना चाहिए, राइट? या फिर ओके, इफ आई वांट टू start a marketplace of pets, right, selling pets online, right? How do what kind of things should you keep in mind? So it will help you fundamentally to effectively move into a mindset to solve problems which you find are very very complex, very very undeterministic and very very ambiguous. और प्रॉब्लम क्या होती है ना, सबसे ज्यादा दिक्कत प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट से क्यों होती है ना, क्योंकि ये एम्बिग्यूअस रोल है और लोग एम्बिग्यूटी से डरते हैं। जो चीज लोगों को समझ में नहीं आती ना, उन उन चीजों से लोग डरते हैं। और सबसे सिंपल तरीका, इलॉन मस्क बार बार ये क्यों बोलता रहता है कि फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल से सोचो तभी तुम कर सकते, क्योंकि फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल्स क्या होते हैं? फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल्स वो स्टेटमेंट होते हैं जो किसी भी स्टेट में नहीं होते। जैसे 2+2 हमेशा 4 ही रहेगा, इट विल नेवर चेंज, राइट? तो जो भी एम्बिग्यूअस प्रॉब्लम है ना, उसके अंदर हमेशा 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 फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल्स मैटर करते हैं, और ये सारी बुक्स तुम्हें फर्स्ट प्रिंसिपल थिंकिंग में इंप्रूव करने में हेल्प करेंगे। तो दैट्स माय या
No, I think that's very insightful. Okay, now we'll take up certain questions and then we'll move towards the end of the main discussion. So
श्योर
I'll start taking some very interesting and very, I would say, popular question, which we might find it trivial, but please bear with
या
me.
श्योर
So Rohit has a question like developers hearing that PM is a problem solver is going to feel sad. So what's your take on this? Like, is PM also a developer, or how is the role of a PM with the developer mixing it?
यार आई थिंक एक बहुत सिंपल सी चीज है यार, कि कई बार क्या होता है, पीएम्स को ऐसा देखा जाता है कि पीएम्स आर काइंड ऑफ बॉसेस ऑफ डेवलपर, बिकॉज दे बॉस अराउंड डेवलपर्स, सेइंग कि यार तुम्हें ये बनाना है, तुम्हें वो बनाना है, तुम्हें 7 दिन में बनाना है, तुम्हें 10 दिन में बनाना है। लेकिन सबसे बड़ी बात पता क्या होती है? एक अच्छा पीएम वो होता है जो डेवलपर्स को इंस्पायर कर सके, जो उनको बता सके कि इसकी वैल्यू क्या है, क्यों बनाना चाहिए हमें। कोई भी इंसान किसी चीज किसी के लिए दो ही तरीके से काम कर सकता है। एक तो होता है बाय फोर्स, जो स्केलेबल नहीं होता, कि बॉस बोलेगा, एक टाइम के बाद बंदा बोलेगा मैं नौकरी छोड़ दूंगा, मैं दूसरी जगह चला जाऊंगा। दूसरा होता है बाय एडमिरेशन, बाय एडमिरेशन, कि यार इस बंदे ने जो बनाया, इट हैज इफेक्टिवली गिवन सम वैल्यू टू द एंड यूजर, यानी कि मैं जो मेहनत कर रहा हूं वो इफेक्टिवली यूजर्स को किसी तरह मदद कर रही है, एंड दे आर, आई एम रियली हैप्पी बाय दिस। लाइक यू आर डूइंग अ वेरी ग्रेट कॉन्फ्रेंस, राइट? अब सोचो, इसमें किसी डेवलपर ने अगर कोड करके इस प्लेटफॉर्म को सक्सेसफुल बनाने के लिए कुछ किया होता, राइट, एंड वुड हैव पुट दैट एफर्ट, आज अगर वो देख रहा है इतने सारे लोग इंटरेक्ट कर रहे हैं, इतनी सारी जनता इंटरेक्ट कर रही है, तो उसको कितनी वैल्यू फील होगी। तो ये चीज एक पीएम को बहुत क्लियरली अपने स्टेक होल्डर्स के सामने लानी पड़ती है, यार दिस इज व्हाई यू आर बिल्डिंग दिस। द सेकेंड थिंग दैट यू हैव टू कीप इनटू इंटैक्ट इज दैट यू लर्न फ्रॉम देम। उनको बॉस मत करो, उनको ये बोलने की, उनकी बात को समझने की कोशिश करो कि यार, कि बी एम्पैथेटिक टू देम, कि ओके, इफ दे आर सेइंग दैट दिस कैन नॉट बी डन इन 7 days, there has to be a logic to it, right? So be empathetic with them, try to rationalize that discussion and come up with a common consensus. ऐसे मत करो कि नहीं यार ये तो करना ही करना है, ये तो करना ही करना है, ऐसे नहीं होता। This is not how people work, because today they will work for you, tomorrow they will not, right? Because eventually what you have to broker with your developers or your marketing people or your other stakeholders is a relationship of admiration, right? That will stay far longer than any of the trivial professional roles that you want to define, right? So that is why I always say a PM has to be very accessible, very empathetic, very listening attitude होना चाहिए, समझने का attitude होना चाहिए, और फिर उसके बाद और लास्ट बट नॉट द लीस्ट, जो एक पीएम का सबसे इंपॉर्टेंट रोल होता है, जब भी सक्सेस मिले तो स्टेक होल्डर्स को सामने रखो कि ये उनकी सक्सेस है, और जब भी नुकसान हो या कुछ को, तो अपने आप को सामने रखो, टेक द ब्लेम ऑन योरसेल्फ, बिकॉज दैट विल इंस्पायर कि हाँ यार हमसे गलती हुई, लेकिन इट्स अ कॉल दैट आई मेड, फेयर एंड स्क्वायर। जब तुम दूसरों को सक्सेस का हिस्सा बनाते हो ना, तो उनके दिल में तुम्हारे लिए इज्जत थोड़ी 2 इंच ऊपर हो जाती है, और जब वो 2 इंच ऊपर हो जाती है ना, तो वही बंदा रात को 2 बजे भी तुम्हारा फोन उठाएगा और तुम्हारे लिए काम करेगा। He will work for you because he knows that this guy, if he's coming from a standpoint, he's definitely, अगर ये मुझे काम करने को बोल रहा है आज, तो that means पक्का इंपॉर्टेंट होगा, नहीं तो कोई रीजन ऐसे नहीं होगा। ये मुझे आज बोलो क्योंकि ये ऐसा इंसान है जो सक्सेस में तो हमें आगे रखता है, और कभी भी कोई कुछ फेलियर होता है तो अपने आप को सामना खड़े, हमारी शील्ड बन जाता है, he becomes our shield, right? So that is the kind of impact and the kind of relationship you should broker with your developers, because they are your first users यार, तुम्हारे यूजर से भी पहले के यूजर वही है, तो उनके साथ अच्छा रिश्ता नहीं बना सकते तो तुम अपने एंड यूजर के साथ कैसे रिश्ता बना पाओगे? So that is what my advice to you, all of the people is. Yeah.
अमेजिंग। एक इंटरेस्टिंग क्वेश्चन किसी ने पूछा, आई थिंक इट्स अगेन वन ऑफ द वेरी कॉमन क्वेश्चन। कैन पीपल फ्रॉम एनी अदर फील्ड लाइक बीकॉम, बीपीए, architecture,
Yeah.
can become get into an APM or a PM role?
बिल्कुल यार, आई थिंक आई हैव क्लैरिफाइड दिस वेरी क्लियरली टू ऑल ऑफ यू गाइस। इट्स प्लीज ये बायस अपने दिमाग से हटा दो कि प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट या तो टेक बैकग्राउंड से जा सकते हैं या एमबीए करके जा सकते हैं, ऐसा कुछ नहीं होता यार। प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट, आर्ट्स, इकोनॉमिक्स, होम साइंस, जिस बैकग्राउंड का तुम नाम लेना चाहते हो, किसी भी बैकग्राउंड से तुम प्रोडक्ट मैनेजमेंट मूव कर सकते हो, क्योंकि मैं ये क्लैरिफाई कर चुका हूं, ये सिर्फ प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग का रोल है। प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग का रोल का मतलब होता है यू आर ए ग्रेट प्रॉब्लम सॉल्वर। कुणाल शाह कम्स फ्रॉम ए साइकोलॉजी बैकग्राउंड भाई, उन्होंने तो टेक जीवन में कभी नहीं किया, एंड ही स्टार्टेड 2 बिग कंपनीज हु आर ए बिलियन डॉलर कंपनीज, राइट? अपना इतने सारे एंटरप्रेन्योर्स हैं जिन्होंने टेक लाइफ में किया ही नहीं है। आई विल टेल यू, मेरा जो लास्ट टू लास्ट स्टार्टअप था ब्लैकबक, ब्लैकबक में जो जो फाउंडर है ब्लैकबक के, वो आईटीसी में काम करते थे यार। आईटीसी में काम करके उन्होंने प्रोसेस ओरिएंटेड चीजें की, एंड दिस ही स्टार्टेड अ टेक प्लेटफॉर्म फॉर बिल्डिंग उबर फॉर ट्रक्स, एंड इट्स अ बिलियन डॉलर कंपनी नाउ। उनके तो जिंदगी में उन्होंने टेक नहीं देखा कभी, एंड ही स्टार्टेड दैट कंपनी एंड बिल्ट दैट कंपनी फ्रॉम स्क्रैच टू मेक अ बिलियन डॉलर कंपनी आउट ऑफ इट, राइट? कोई भी पीएम बन सकता है, बस तुम में क्यूरियोसिटी हो, पैशन हो, और प्रॉब्लम सॉल्विंग को स्केल पे करने का एटीट्यूड, कि हाँ यार ठीक है, मैं स्केल पे इसको ले जा सकता हूँ, क्या मैं इस मॉडल को स्केल पे ऑपरेट कर सकता हूँ कि नहीं कर सकता हूँ। तो ये चीज बहुत ज्यादा इंपॉर्टेंट है, और उसका बेस्ट तरीका जैसे मैंने तुम्हें बताया, इट्स ऑलवेज अबाउट building your portfolio, improving your thinking. I've given you some resources for that. Just start executing. मत करो, वेट मत करो किसी का कि मैं कुछ सीखूंगा, कहीं से ये पढ़ूंगा। शुरू करो और इंप्रूव करो, उसको फीडबैक से इंप्रूव करते रहो, एंड यू विल कम टू अ सॉल्यूशन वेयर यू विल ऑटोमेटिकली अंडरस्टैंड वेदर माय सॉल्यूशन मेक सेंस और नॉट। अब निखिल की एग्जांपल ले लो ना यार, मतलब आई नो हिम as a very well friend. He was in IIT Bombay. After that, he figured out a problem, and today is doing so well. And that's the admiration I hold for him, right? तो इन्होंने तो कोई मतलब ऐसा नहीं था, ये तो पीएचडी कर रहे थे, तो इनका तो कुछ वैसा कोई प्लान नहीं था, लेकिन इनको एक प्रॉब्लम दिखी और उन्होंने कहा यार ये बहुत वैल्यू ऐड करेगा इकोसिस्टम में, एंड दैट्स द इंपैक्ट दैट ही वांटेड टू बिल्ड अक्रॉस। और आज तुम सारे बच्चे इनकी, because of his effort, his support and all of the foreign admits team, you are able to derive so much value. So ये भी तो पीएम ही है, आपके सामने एक प्रोडक्ट मैनेजर खुद ही बैठा हुआ है, और आप लोग मेरे से सवाल पूछ रहे हो। एनीवेज, श्योर।
Great, yeah. I think that okay, well, it's very humble to hear that. So a lot of I think I'll just summarize a little bit of your context in English because there are certain people from Southern India.
Sure, sure.
What Shravan actually meant is there is nothing called a zenith point in PM that you have achieved it now you don't need. PM is a consistent role where your learning is very much day to day basis, and you start learning by executing things and iterating it by taking feedbacks. So as a PM, you would learn basics, but do not just wait for it. Start doing things, whatever you learn, start implementing it, and start solving problems. Ideally, I see it as a mini founder role where you work in a company to solve their problems and build their products, or else independently, if you're doing it, you are yourself the founder of the company. So that's what I see as a PM.
Yeah,
Okay, so
yeah.
we have one interesting and again a repetitive question, and I think this is coming from China. So thank you, Xi Jinping. So yeah, coding is necessary for becoming a PM.
So I think that is a very pertinent question. It's a very common question that I keep hearing. See, coding is not necessary. It is a skill which will improve you as a PM for sure, because typically most of the products today are digital products, right? So you need to have an understanding of architecture level sense that at scale will this platform work. Like today I am solving it for 1,000 people. If I do it at 20,000 people, would my tech be able to scale that kind of load? Right? So it's a good thing to know, but it is not a necessary skill to have. Now, yes, there can be scenarios for certain companies where coding is necessary, but it is very domain oriented. Like if you want to become a PM for Google search, then you need to understand machine learning algorithms. How do they work at scale? Like if you're working for a deep SaaS firm, like something like developer tools like Postman, right? So there you need to have some understanding of tech, right? That's why you will be able to build features, because it is a hardcore developer product. But I think majority for the consumer facing companies like Flipkart, Amazon, Swiggy, Zomato, BYJU's, edtech companies, multiple other companies, coding is not required. What is required is a problem solving outlook and how it adds value to the user. So it's a good thing to have, very good thing to have, but definitely not a necessary skill. Yeah.
Interesting. So my question would be, since I was looking into the PM roles, there are a couple of softwares which usually a lot of companies would want you to have a knowledge of it. What are the kind of softwares that a PM should be at least well versed or knowledgeable about?
Sure. So I think look at it from a funnel perspective. I would say funnel basically means the journey of the user, like where the user is coming from. One of the very good softwares that gives you an understanding of where your user is coming from is Google Analytics. It gives you a sense of where, which sources your user are coming from. Are they coming from Google? Are they coming from multiple other sources? So you should have an understanding of Google Analytics, which gives you a segmentation of what kind of users are coming, are what is their gender, what's their demographic, what's their geography, all of those, what are the devices they're using, what are the browsers they're using. So it gives you a sense of doing deep personalization for them. Like, let me give you one simple example. If you try to use people who are using iPhones, right? So they might have a very different experience, and I can upsell them properly, probably something of a higher ARP, right? How higher MRP, because I understand that those are the people who have some sort of a disposable income, and they can effectively purchase a higher value product also and derive more value, right? But somebody coming from a background where a phone which is typically of a lower ticket size, I can give them more value product which is more affordable to them, more economical to them, right? So first of all, you should have a very strong understanding of Google Analytics, which comes into the domain of marketing analytics. The second thing that you should have an understanding of are product analytics tool, which is specifically like what people are doing on your platform, not necessarily where they're coming from. So there are tools like CleverTap, Mixpanel, MoEngage, multiple tools are there which effectively tell you the journey of the user on the platform. That are the user clicking the button that I want them to click? Are the users playing the video that I want them to play? Are the user doing add to cart or not, which is the primary intent of mine, right? So it helps you understand certain basic behaviors of the user. That is the user getting retained? Is he coming back? Is he not coming back? So it'll give you a sense of that, okay, if a user is coming back again and again in your product analytics funnel, it tells you that your product is very popular. It has a good retention, right? People are able to derive value from it. So marketing analytics ke liye Google Analytics, and product analytics ke liye there are multiple other tools, and then there are some ancillary tools also which I definitely recommend PM. Like there are A/B testing platforms like Optimize, which basically help you design better experiments, right? So that is something that you should effectively learn. Then there are multiple other tools like survey feedback, type form type tools, which can effectively get you a sense of how people are perceiving your product, right? Then there are some other tools which are relevant to the PM itself, like understanding Jira. For that matter, I make a lot of jokes on Jira, but then again, it is an important tool because it helps you frame requirements in a better way. So just don't think it's for fun, but it's a good tool to know. Jira is another great tool to know. And then primarily, I would tell you from a skill set standpoint, you should be very comfortable with large data sets, using Excel, using SQL. You should be comfortable with that because today is the world of personalization, right? So you should be able to identify consumer cohorts in a very fundamental manner. So start by understanding Google Analytics, product analytics, and at the core of it, try to understand that how different cohorts of consumers behave by using multiple tools like Excel. You can use Excel to kind of slice and dice the data, look what kind of user is doing what. So these are the different tools that I would recommend PMs to understand for. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, let's come back to something else, a little bit of a practical discussion here. So, can you share, anything as a case study or a product tear down? A very popular term that I hear in the product community, product tear downs, right? So,
Yeah.
do you want to share something on a product tear down or a case study?
Absolutely, absolutely. So probably if you want to kind of look at a product tear down, I would want to do something from a very popular tool of mine, which I or probably popular product of mine, which I use functionally for language learning. It's called Duolingo. So Duolingo is an amazing product, right? It gives you a fundamental understanding of how products work, right? So Duolingo is a particular product which helps you learn languages for free, right? Now, in a typical product funnel, you have to give value and then effectively the user pays for it. So what they have effectively done is that, see, language learning is not something of a need. It's more of a want, right? That if you understand Chinese, it's okay, right? Well, it's not something that is going to effectively give you a job or something, unless and until you're going to China, or probably it's a mandatory requirement, right? But it is something. Now can you convert something from a want to something very, very interesting, so that people start using this tool? So what they did is they effectively started by building out a platform where the first statement, if you go on their website, is learn a language for free forever, right? So a user goes there without even inputting even a single iota of information, which typically every platform takes. Sign up with us, sign up, just start learning. So they activated the user straight away by telling them, use our platform for free, we don't care, you will have a lot of value. Second thing, that you go into their platform, they have gamified their platform. You'll have a lot of fun learning languages. They use a lot of imagery, they use a lot of gamified elements, so that it becomes like you're playing a game, right? Now the user is not only just learning a language, but also playing a game. So the aspect comes that a user is not only hooked to the service, but also to the product, because he's enjoying using the product. Once he has done 2 or 3 sessions on that particular platform, then they specifically say, do you now, because you've enjoyed so much, they already know that you've invested 15-20 minutes on the platform, do you want to save your data, right? That's such a key thing, because now you're already hooked, that I have learned so much, I don't want to just erase my progress. Then you save your data and you consistently keep coming back, because they've made language learning as a game, right? So you activated the user, you retained the user through gamification, and finally, after you do it for multiple times, it's like learning guitar. If after the 4 sessions you want to learn faster and faster because you're enjoying the process, then they say, if you want to learn faster, uh, Duolingo, Praful, it's Duolingo. So if you want to learn faster, why don't you pay for it? Now users have derived so much value that they are paying for it, because they want to learn even more faster, and then they are retained. So see the entire reflection in the product philosophy. First, give value, give so much value that people automatically want to pay. But on the contrary, in India, businesses are पहले पैसा दो उसके बाद value मिलेगी. But they are doing it the other way, and that's why they have come a billion-dollar company. So this is more like a very blanket product tear down that I would tell you. But if you connect with me on LinkedIn, I would be able to give you far more sense of it. That basically how we, and I do a lot of posts on how particular product tear downs are. But the point that I'm trying to emphasize here is, a great product first gives value, and then value at scale, then retains the user, and then asks for revenue. And it doesn't even ask for revenue. You consciously want to give that revenue. It is like Swiggy, right? You consciously want to do it because it's giving you great food at a cheap cost, right? So it's not like you always feel bad by spending money on Swiggy, right? Because it's a conscious choice, because you're enjoying the product, enjoying the food, right? So that is there. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Okay. So now we'll take again some set of questions, and there are very interesting questions coming up. Uh, it's a lot of times people confuse product management with project management or
Correct.
operations management, or sometimes someone has also asked, like, what is the difference between production management and product management? I have really less idea about this. This is very interesting differentiation that someone has asked in a lately. You know.
Yeah. So I can tell you the difference between a project manager and a product manager. I'm not sure what he meant by production management. Utna mere ko bhi nahi pata. Probably I am also unaware of that. But I'll tell you what the difference is. See, program managers or project managers are typically in a company. See, what do you understand by a project? It comes from the word. Na. A project is something that has a structure to it, and it has to finish in a certain time. That's why you call it a project. Like you go to a internship, you say it's a 2-month internship, it's a project that I want to close a particular thing in a limited time. So project manager is someone who checks that whether that intended project is getting delivered on time or not. He is not responsible for the ideation of the particular problem or the solution. He is just responsible for that whether it is on time or not. Is if I had decided that building this product will take 20 days, is it there on 20, is it getting built in 20 days? If the testing has to take 10 days, if is it getting tested in 10 days, or it's getting delayed or not? But as a product manager, you are also responsible for ideation of the solution, understanding the problems, and also the success, not only just delivering the product, but also making sure that the product is successful or not. You delivered a product, but किसी को अच्छा ही नहीं लगा on time. So what's the sense of building that thing, right? So product manager is a far more horizontal role where your success is tied to the success of the product, and which is tied to the success of the consumer, that the consumer is able to derive value or not. A project manager is just looks at that, okay, whatever the value to the consumer, it goes or not, my agenda is in 2 months I should be on time and I should deliver this project on time. That is something that I have to take into account. So that is the difference between a project manager and a product manager. And a product manager is a far more interesting and rich role in comparison to a project manager. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so do you want to agree to this comment? Captain of the ship is product manager.
I don't think he's the captain of the ship, but I think he is, how I want to put it is, probably he's the map maker of the ship. He's not the captain of the ship. So what I want to tell you is, because a ship is run by everyone. It's not the captain who holds the bar. It's not like that. Somebody has to open the mast. Somebody has to push the levers. So everybody runs the ship, but he is the direction driver of the ship. That, okay, this direction you have to take, right? So a product manager is nobody's boss. He's the most helpful guy in the company who can help all of you guys. I'm sorry, but most of the people literally abuse the PM because he's more like the bossy guy. But honestly, a product manager has to be very accessible. He has to be the supportive glue between the different aspects of the company, right? And give them a proper shape. So I would definitely believe that he's more the direction maker of the company. Yeah, definitely. Or the product. Yeah.
So okay, so there's a lot of freshers asking a very interesting question. So one question I'll pick it up from here is Nishit has asked about portfolio should actually have the product built, or wireframing can work too for assignments.
Wireframing can work. Wireframing can definitely work, Nishit. Product build, if you can, if you have that skill set to build a website or something like that, you can do that. That's nothing like that. But even a wireframe can effectively do. You have to, it is just about giving a sense to the interviewer that this is what you want to build. This is what you want to kind of put across. If you can build a website, there's nothing like that. You can do that. That's Sone pe suhaga. Sone pe suhaga. That's, yeah. Yeah.
Absolutely. Nishit, I think one small tweak that you can do, you can use no-code products. There are so many, no-code platforms are there. There are like Airtable, Notion, Typeform. I remember one of the intern, built a whole email course product just by using a Typeform and a Notion, right? So you can always do that kind of a tweak also. Okay, so how to prioritize resources and what do companies look in a fresher for product? I know we have discussed this, but any short blurb on it?
Simple. Most of the time they would look for a better, very great problem solving outlook. So what you should start doing is 3 simple steps. Try to learn guesstimates so that you have a better analytical mindset, right? Second thing, try to look for more like product tear downs that I have just mentioned, that how do you effectively enhance a feature. How do you effectively look at key, okay, if you want to improve the efficiency of an Excel feature, how do you do that? And the third thing that I would definitely want you to look at is primarily look at some kind of horizontal product business model structures. Like for a particular company, what will be the business model at scale people will be able to understand. So freshers should learn 3 things: guesstimate, try to do product teardowns, that should be enough. But if you're really curious, move into business models also, trying to understand, okay, for a particular company who has a higher ticket size, should it have a B2C model, should it have a B2B model? But it's not necessary. First 2 things are necessary: guesstimates and product teardowns. That should be good enough. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have a very interesting question by Prathamesh. So most companies have great PMs and everywhere the same methods are used by all PM to build good products. So what is that one thing that usually make a product stand out from the rest of the competition?
Sure. So
And in
Prathamesh,
fact, I'll add on to this, Shravan. What is
yeah,
that one thing that also make product managers stand out than among the regular ones?
sure. So I think one of the core things that I would definitely say is that product managers who are really curious and passionate by design, they try to do so. I have always thought of products in a very philosophical way, that it's a pyramid of products, right? The top pyramid is typically governed by entertainment products where people go there by themselves, like a product like TikTok or a product like Instagram, where people mindlessly scroll and have fun out of it, right? Now that is something where people don't pay for it. It's not something, it's just for fun, for enjoyment. Then the larger products, which are in the bottom of the pyramids, are need-based products, right? Where people only go for need, right? Something like Uber, something like Ola, something like Swiggy, where people, if you have a need, then you go there, right? Now that is the larger base, like Google Pay. You only do a payment when it's needed. ऐसे तो नहीं दोगे ना फालतू में पैसे किसी को. So so but now, a great product manager, what he does, he tries to intersect these two things together. Tomorrow, if the larger products, which are need based, effectively become gamified, right? Then you will have fun even doing the most trivial tasks. That is what we are trying to do with education. See, education used to be a binary thing. The teacher is speaking, nobody is interacting. Now we are trying to engage the audience so that it's fun, right? So great PMs typically make their like product experience only fun. So how do I call it is fundamentally what you have to look at is that can think of it like this, that a outcome of a product is like a game, right? And the product itself is a toy, right? So a great product manager is someone who effectively makes the product experience like a toy कि तुम football खेल रहे हो. So you enjoy the toy itself, right? And finally what will happen is that eventually if you do a goal, then you enjoyed the game itself. Like, why is Google Pay getting gamified day over day? Because they want payments not to be just a trivial task. They want people to enjoy that process, that whenever they go into Google Pay, next time they want to do a payment, it should be retained in their mind. Once you make the product layer segregated from the service layer, and your product layer is itself very strong, so every time, whenever you want to do that particular aspect, you will come there only. You will come. So basically, make the product experience fun for the user, besides the service experience. Like Foreign Admits is making probably counseling or going to foreign universities fun for users. They're making it enjoyable, very smooth for users. So your product experience is enthralling, right? That is why people want to come to you, because experience सारे दे रहे हैं ना, बाहर के एजेंट भी दे रहे हैं. But what makes you differentiated is that you have a very seamless experience. You have great mentors. Everybody wants to learn that way, trying to figure out which university works better for me. Same is for great products. Make the product experience amazing, service will automatically take care of it itself. So just think of your product as a toy and make it beautiful, and that will drive retention. That is what makes great products. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so Dhruvi has one interesting question. I think we discussed pretty much details of it. But what can you elaborate a little bit on the assignment project? Like if someone is applying for job or internship, what are the things that they can do? Again, guys, this is not a copybook style. Do not just follow it like blindly. Okay, Shravan has told that you have to go and do these things. The idea is to stand out, to make the companies or the recruiters feel valued, that yes, I'm trying to go that extra mile for you guys. So Shravan, any insights on it?
Yeah. So I think what we should fundamentally look at is from a assignment kind of a thing. Think of it any problem. First of all, I will give you the steps, general structure to it. General structure, you can add or modify things to it, but general structure, first of all, clearly outline the problem, what you are trying to solve. Very clearly outline the problem. Then build a hypothesis that, like, a problem is think of it problem like I am not able to find khadi suits in Jammu. Assume that's a problem, right? Hypothesis is, if there was a shop of khadi shop in Jammu, people will not have this problem. Hypothesis basically means a if statement, that if X exists, Y would not exist as a problem, right? Then for existence of X, look at the core pain points. Khadi ke liye kya hona chahiye? Supply of khadi should be streamlined. One. Then quality of khadi should be there. Third, different designs of khadi should be there. Multiple things like that, and look at the core pain points. Now, out of the core pain points, next step comes prioritization. Prioritize the main pain. Maybe the different designs is not a problem. Supply is the bigger problem. If there is enough supply, so you solve the supply thing. Prioritize those problems. After prioritization of those problems, solve those problems by giving whatever solution. For probably solving supply, go to Jalandhar and talk to a distributor and figure out the supply. Something like that. Put across solutions, and after the solutions, put metrics to measure those solutions. That is very, very important. Metric basically means it's a way to effectively know that your solution is working or not. Like if you have built the supply, is the supply getting sold, right? Number of units input versus number of units sold, right? So simple outline the problem, outline the hypothesis, identify core problem pain points, list them down, prioritize those pain points. From the prioritization standpoint, put solutions across, give metrics, and that is how your assignment should complete. And if you have some sort of a wireframe around it, how the solution should look like, you can put it across. This is a typical structure of a product solution that you want to give across. That will be very good for an interviewer to know how you think. So that is a typical structure. Yeah.
Okay, so we have one interesting, I would say. Where's this? Um, okay, yeah. So someone has just commented, thank you to the audience. Like we have gotten 80 viewers and 80 likes. So everyone, I'm assuming, is liking the video. That's really nice of you. Okay, so last thing is, what is the role of design engineer in PM? Is there any scope for design engineers also in this sector?
Madhusudan, would you explain what you mean by design engineer here? Because there is a multiple aspects of how you think about a design engineer. Is a design engineer, are you talking of someone who is primarily probably designing stuff for them, or you are looking at a designer who effectively tries to put across the concept of a PM, the idea that he wants to put in design? So I'm not sure what he means by design engineer here.
Okay, perfect. So one, I think this is very basic, so we can just quickly wrap it up in 10 seconds. Any good resource to learn
You
wireframing?
can you can use two tools, draw.io, draw.io, and Balsamic is also very, very, very famous. You can use Balsamic also. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay. So this another question by Prathamesh. For early stage startup to make the first product MVP with minimum funds to test the product, what should be the key priority things to focus to build a good cheap product?
I think a
Cheap by
very
mean I think one thing I would just mention, cheap product doesn't mean here, guys, that it's a ugly or very low quality product, but cheap means a budget friendly and yet it
yeah.
solves the problem.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I think one of the things that you should look at is, have you identified the core problem, which is effectively the most important value to the end user? Like a very, very simple thing can be like if you are trying to build something like, okay, a resource for scholarships, for students to know where scholarships are, right? Can you simply put it across something like a very same case? One of the problems that most people know is that there are a lot of scholarships, everybody knows, but which scholarship is relevant for me, people don't know, right? That is something people don't know. So the MVP should focus on this problem. How do I marry them together? That is the great, and that is, I think, you are already doing that. I think, Nikhil, that is something that you have already done. And guys, I would recommend. देखो मैं promotion भी कर रहा हूँ video में ही. नहीं guys, I'm just saying. अपनी तरफ से it was just a friendly thing that I said. What I'm trying to put across is we should look at the most valuable point in the product and build only that. Let's not look at ancillary value point. Just look at the most simplest way of giving the 80% value. Can you build what 20% would you build to deliver the most 80% of value? Like if you are building a scholarship platform, can I put filters like age, experience, etc., and some feedback, and just marry them by telling them these are the best scholarships, and that will be what is needed in the MVP. As simple as that. So look at the one feature which delivers 70 to 80% of the value as a core working of the platform, and that is something that you should build in the MVP. So that minimum effort, maximum output. That is the core gain of an MVP that you should look at. Yeah.
Interesting. Thank you. I think, Prathamesh, you would have gotten the insight. So, Madhusudan has written his question in a very detailed way. So, what is the role of design engineers in PM? By design, he would like to address like CAD and CAM software designs.
See, it depends. If you're in a hardware startup, it definitely makes sense. Definitely makes sense. Like a startup like where Furlenco, where they design furniture. So definitely it has a very logical sense. Or a company like IKEA, which effectively basically designs furniture, then it will make a lot of sense, because there your product is a hardware product, so your MVP will also have be a hardware product. So it is effectively equal to a designer's role in a typical digital product. So there is definitely a need. So you should definitely look at hardware companies like Honeywell is a company, Siemens is a company, IKEA is a company. A lot of great companies who try to build MVP based design products. Their product management is more on the hardware side, but the principles are the same. So yes, that is there is a very strong role, and you should just identify which companies you would want to work for. That is there, and so I think that is the answer for that. Yeah.
Okay. So one interesting question that has been asked by Prathamesh again, what is more important for a product, the UI or the UX? And what phases it would change? Or is it a combo?
Yeah. So I think both are equally important. I'll tell you how. Like, try to understand. See, it really depends on the kind of product that you want to build, right? See, if typically how we look at the transition of a product is what is the preceding experience. Like, let me give you a very simple example. Like before IRCTC, how did you used to do a train ticket? Station pe jate the, you used to go to the station, stand in a line, and then get the ticket or not get the ticket. Wo Bhagwan bharose. It was God's will. Now somebody designed a very poor UI UX on a website, but the preceding experience was of 3 hours. And on IRCTC, it happens in 10 minutes. So it has the worst UX or the UI in the history of UI and UX, but still the experience with the in comparison to the preceding experience is 10x better. So UI UX doesn't matter in that case. But on the contrary, in a product somewhere like a travel booking website, right? Initially before Airbnb, right? Travel was very unstructured, lot of SEO, lot of information on the pages, nobody was able to figure out, but Airbnb claimed it across, so their UI UX made a lot of sense. So it really depends on the stage of the product. Probably if your previous experience is very pathetic and you're trying to improve it across, then UI UX might not be even the core criteria. Like for Big Basket, it's not the core criteria because they're solving a supply chain problem, right? It's not the core criteria. But for a company like Cleartrip, which is doing airline bookings, their UI UX makes a lot of sense, right? So, but to put it in a very structured manner, it really depends on what value you are going to deliver, and in comparison to the previous experience. Like if the previous experience is also a digital product, then probably it makes a very good advantage in terms of UI UX. But if the previous experience is broken enough and it is a very very bad experience, then even having a great service online might not have the great UI UX. Might be completely okay. Might be completely okay. Yeah.
Interesting. Okay, so this is very insightful. I think, guys, I think people are loving it. This, please do share a screenshot of this session on LinkedIn and probably like, tag both
Yeah.
of us. It would mean a lot to us.
Yeah.
You have really enjoyed and you have learned something out of this session. We both would want definitely you guys to go after this session, probably open that book, find that ebook, or join the community and learn. You can also join Product Tree. Shravan hosts a community called Product Tree where he does a lot of insightful session. And Shravan has a very interesting YouTube channel started, I think, some week back, only a couple of weeks back, and he discussed in details a lot about product management. I would
Yeah.
recommend all of you to follow. Shravan, can you share the handle name? Is it
Yes,
with your
yes,
name?
yes. So, guys, I'm doing a 15-week live on product management. Multiple every Sunday. I just had the first live today. The video is available there. The channel's name is the Swagwala PM. The Swagwala PM. It's a very funny name, but it's definite. And I think I would just, if I would be able to put the link in the chat, I would definitely put the link in the chat if that is possible. So that few people can come to the session and effectively put across. Yeah. Yes. So you can just go to the channel, subscribe to it. Yeah. And you will have a lot of fun. And I'm covering from intro to product management to advanced product management in 15 weeks. That's going to be a lot of fun, lot of amazing things. So feel free to join there. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Absolutely. And yes, someone has a very interesting comment. Yes, sir, you have that swag. Perfect. Thank you, amazing audience. I believe you would have learned something, you would have enjoyed it. And Shravan is that way, honestly. Like, if you follow his LinkedIn, you would really, you would have a rueful moment, honestly, on that note. So it's very interesting to learn from Shravan. And Shravan, thank you for taking our time. I know the budget definitely keeps you busy being a senior principal PM on that. But yes, thank you for sharing valuable insights with the audience and the community. I'm sure the community would have loved it. Thanks
I
again,
am I
Shravan.
I'm always glad. Thank you very much. Matlab, it was an honor from my side. Thanks a lot.
Thanks again.
Thanks, sir.
So, yeah, we have come to the end of the second session of the day, seventh day of pre-conference. Today is the product day, and we are discussing anything and everything regarding products and product management. To not leave it, I have very interesting insights and timelines for you. We have one more session coming up in just precisely 50 minutes. In 50 minutes, we are going to get joined by Pradyut. Pradyut is into SaaS products. And if you don't know, India is one of the most, I would say, hyper growth market for SaaS platforms. And SaaS companies are growing like anything. So if you want to get into SaaS companies or SaaS products, you want to build SaaS product, understand what is the product management insights of a SaaS product manager, you should join that session. So it's around 50 minutes away. And again, I'll come live on YouTube, on LinkedIn, on Facebook. And if you really like Sir Shravan's session, do follow him on YouTube called the Swagwala PM. Do follow us on YouTube so that you would not miss out on certain interesting session. Because week 2 of pre-conference of the mentor conference is all going to be about careers, products, marketing, management, breaking into different jobs for international students and also national students, identifying what kind of career options you would want to pick it up, and so many more things. Let there be no confusion in what you want to do in your career. That is the aim for the week 2 of mentor conference. So I have some interesting videos to share, but yes, this session is over. See you exactly in 58 minutes, sorry, 48 minutes. So do join the session.
Visit us today.